Los Angeles wildfires rage unchecked, devastating homes and landmarks. 2 are dead, 2,000 structures are destroyed, and the homeless population of Los Angeles just got a lot bigger. Too soon? You're right. I'm sorry. That was disgusting and insensitive. I meant persons experiencing houselessness. I'm Bridget Phetasy, and this is your actual fire. Welcome to Dumpster Fire, where we make burgers out of your sacred cows. This week, we will be covering the fires in Los Angeles. Look, all irreverent jokes aside, this is very personal for me and for Maggie. We would be shooting this in a garage filled with smoke right now, probably with masks on and unable to drink water or shower if we were still in Los Angeles. And we've got a lot to cover around this because, as usual, we're really just critiquing media, humans, and our lame, ridiculous politicians. First things first, let's talk about what a horrific disaster this is. It is beyond comprehension. I do not want to talk too much about it because I will get extremely emotional. Los Angeles was home to me for many years. A lot of the places that are gone are landmarks, places that many people have memories, things that made Los Angeles great. Say what you want about LA. It is in a great American city, and it is a city that's filled with so many suburbs that each one of those suburbs becomes very much like a community. Right now, Pacific Palisades, which is where I actually worked, I had a job there at a restaurant, is destroyed and will never be the same. It's completely leveled. Altadena as well, another community, old school Los Angeles community, gone. And as we film this, it's still 0% contained. And literally everyone I know in Los Angeles, and this is not an exaggeration, is either evacuated from where they live or has lost a home. So I don't think people really understand the scale of this. It's insane. The thing people don't get about LA is that there is community. And a lot of people are generational Los Angelans. There are people who lived generation after generation after generation in the Pacific Palisades, in Altadena, which is working class, in Pasadena, family after family after family that lived there, raised their kids, their grandkids, their great-grandkids. A lot of these communities that have been burned to the ground were those kinds of old school Los Angeles communities. I mean, it's still ongoing and it's a tragic loss, and it is out fucking outrageous because there is no leadership. There's no leadership. First of all, there's Gavin Newsom, who is the governor, who we all know I'm no fan of Gavin Newsom, and he's part of the reason that I left that state. In a ridiculous interview, he was asked about the fire hydrants because there was not water and pressure going to the fire hydrants, which I want to be clear, there are other explanations for this, but it's still insane that there was no planning for this or forward thinking. And he's like, the local folks are going to have to figure that out.
What is the situation with the water? Obviously, in Palisades, ran out last night in the hydrants. I was talking to the firefighter on this block. They left because there was no water in the hydrant here.
The local folks are trying to figure that out.
Shame. Shame.
He proceeds in this interview to blame everybody but himself, who is the leader of the state. People pointed out a lot of crazy things that he said in this interview, blaming Trump for politicizing it when he, in fact, is the one who is actually politicizing it as well. Everybody wants to blame climate change because that's an easy way to pass the buck from your crappy failed policies that don't work. But he mentions as an example of rebuilding the Paradise Fire, which lots of people died in that fire. It was horrific. And he's using that as an example of how a community can rebuild.
And this is going to be a long recovery process. But look, we have residents moving back into Paradise, California. I've seen remarkable recovery efforts.
Not learning anything from that fire whatsoever. Los Angeles should be furious. You should be furious. And I hope you recall Mayor Bass, who is the next person on our shit list of leaders who are completely incompetent. LA Mayor Bass, who was in Ghana for some reason at the time the fire erupted, By the way, we were in LA last week. I was in LA with my family, visiting my family. Many of the places that are at risk or have been burned, I was actually just there last week. When we were there, everyone was talking about how the Santa Anas are coming and they're going to be bad. Everyone in LA was preparing for it. There were red flag warnings. There's no excuse that this mayor decided to get on a plane and go to Ghana knowing that this was coming. It wasn't like some surprise. And now it's all coming out. How she cut $17.6 million from the fire department's budget last month, inexplicably. LA Fire Chief Kristen Crowley told her that the cuts would severely limit the department's capacity to prepare for, train for, and respond to large-scale emergencies, including wildfires. LA is a town that burns constantly. You need to be prepared for these things. It is one of the most regular natural disasters that occurs in that city, so regular that they call it fire season. Like, you have a literal fire season and you cut the fire department. That seems like the last budget you should be cutting in all of Los Angeles. And then she gets off the plane from Ghana. You would think she would have time on that plane ride to prepare some kind of remark that exhibited some sense of any kind of perspective on what is happening in her city that she is the mayor of. And instead, she gets off the plane and they're asking her questions and she makes no comment whatsoever about anything.
Have you nothing to say today?
Can you back up? Appreciate it.
Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today?
Shame. Shame.
Can't even find it within her to exhibit any kind of empathy for what people are going through as they've literally lost everything in their whole life other than whatever they got out of their house with. Then she gives her prepared speech. She's looking down. You've had time to prepare this. The flight from Ghana is not short. Then you are sitting there and you're looking at your notes, you're stumbling, and when you go to give people emergency resources, you tell them that they can go to at the URL.
Right now, if you need help, emergency information, resources, and shelter is available. All of this can be found at URL. Los Angeles, together is how we will get through this.
Like, makes a gaffe of the center and doesn't even stop and say, oh, that's not right. We need to get the information out to the people because it's literally if you need help, if you need shelter. And by the way, people don't have power. They don't have Wi-Fi. Their shit's been down for days and you're telling them to go to a website to figure out where they can go get help. These people are idiots, morons, and shameless. This whole episode is basically breaking Bridget because it was so obvious and so avoidable, so much of this. Somebody on Twitter was saying this is like a classic doom spiral too, what happens where you have these environmentalists who are like, oh, this is climate change, and then you don't do things out of the sense of these eco-friendly, like you can't get water because of the minnows and you can't build reservoirs. You also can't do forest management because it will disturb the ecosystem, even though these places are designed to burn regularly. You then end up with disasters like this. And then it's like, see, this was climate change. I don't think people are buying it, though. I don't think the average Los Angelan being left to use fucking bowls to put the fire out in their house is buying it this time around. I don't think they're just going to accept, like, this is just a climate change disaster. Okay, so you are saying climate change is coming, the disasters are going to get worse, and you have no preparation for them? That still doesn't excuse your crappy policies and your crappy emergency response. And God bless the fire departments and the LAPD in these moments where there's no leadership. By the way, the other problem that Los Angeles has, aside, and Keira Davis said this perfectly in a tweet, she was talking about how aside from the weather, the bad policies, the horrible leadership, they also have firebugs in Los Angeles. And she said these murderous creeps who lurk in every corner of the state waiting for moments like this to occur so that they can jump in and start fires as well.
A suspect was detained over in Woodland Hills area by citizens.
So someone purposely set the Kenneth fire?
At this time, that's what we believe, yes.
Andrew Huberman was driving through LA and caught people on video lighting a fire yesterday. Yesterday being Wednesday.
We're at 302 Pico, and people are lighting fires now. The trees caught fire, and then the palms are catching fire. So civilians are now lighting fires.
Before we continue, don't forget to like, subscribe, touch my bells and buttons, and tell your friends about us. Please help us reach our goal of 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Today's episode is brought to you by Sheath Underwear. I love this sponsor. You guys know this. They have this patented dual pouch system. It's revolutionary. It cradles your balls lovingly, of course, in their own pouch. And then there's a separate pouch for the genitalia. It keeps everything separate from the legs, so you're nice and comfortable. Nothing is sticking together. It's high quality. It can be worn as boxers or briefs. It always feels weird doing ad reads in the middle of an apocalyptic story about fire and loss. But you know what? People need underwear, and I'm going to donate some Sheath underwear to a lot of the people in Los Angeles, actually, now that I think about it. Everyone who tries this underwear swears they'll never go back. My husband won't wear anything else. And there's also a women's line, too. So if you're interested in that, check out their whole line of products. Go to sheath.com and use the promo code Dumpster to get 20% off your next order. That is sheath.com, promo code Dumpster to get 20% off. Link is in the description below. There's so many different responses to this from people online when you're just scrolling through social media. These are three of the worst or most ridiculous kinds of responses that you see in response to these kinds of disasters. Which do you hate more? The who cares, they're rich, or that's what they get for voting blue, or the they're burning all the evidence of the tunnels to cover for P. Diddy. Let's break down these reactions, shall we? Reaction one is, who cares? They're rich. It bothers me that people who know nothing about LA assume everyone in Los Angeles is rich. A lot of this is centered around rich people and celebrities because the Palisades obviously was a haven for that. But Altadena is working class. Pasadena is too. Not everyone who lived in the Palisades was rich. Apartments burned too, working class neighborhoods. By the way, has it occurred to anyone who's some champion of the working class, how many working class people woke up on Wednesday morning and had no job? Whether it was in their restaurant, whether it was in their store that they worked at, whether it was because they're a gardener, because they're a nanny, cleaning folks. There are so many people who are in the working class who have very little job security as it is, who now have no idea what they're going to do for a living. And their whole livelihood was just burned up as well. So don't act like you give a shit about the working class and you're, this is only a rich people. Who cares? They'll be fine problem. It's not. I get it. I understand there's a class war occurring in this country and you see it in the comments. And I was not rich living in LA at all. I was firmly working class. People lost everything at once. You know, they lost so much. And
right, their like apartment, their stuff, their car, their job.
I cannot list all of the amazing things that have been lost, and the fire is still burning. It is a fucking tragedy. Whatever you might feel about California and Democrats and liberals, it is the same way I felt about North Carolina, which we never got to give its due coverage because it was like we were still not shooting as regularly as we are now. But I think we should all try to find it in our hearts to recognize no matter what your politics are, you deserve the care and humanity from your other humans about someone who's lost everything. It doesn't matter. You don't get to be like, sorry, LA, your skirt was too short, you know? Now, continuing our breakdown of the worst reactions of the fire. The second is the that's what you get reaction. No one deserves this. Not the folks in North Carolina who are being ignored by FEMA for being Trump supporters, which, by the way, is insane and fucked up because that's the government doing it and not just random asshole citizens or people in the media. I am begging some of you to please get a personality outside your political orientation, particularly your desire to own the libs. Now is not that moment. It is true, these policies absolutely led to abject failures that let the people down. It is also true, many of these people voted for these policies. Many of these people did not. it is automatic, like the media kind of sorts itself into climate change versus DEI, you know, the left versus right paradox. The right wants to be like, oh, this is all political and DEI policies, and they hire, you know, lesbians or whatever. Like I said, not every moment needs to be about owning the libs, but it's just their default response to everything because they get to generate a lot of money from that response to everything. But that I don't get the sense that they actually give a shit about these people either. And they just want to dunk on their opponents. And the left does the same thing. I'm not excusing them. The left wants to be like, this is climate change, which is just an easy way to excuse all their bad policies and not take any responsibility for failing their people. It's not one or the other. Here on Dumpster Fire, our main philosophy is to embrace the healing power of and. Why can't it be both? Why can't it be climate change, which is a thing, and bad policies and leadership? We're fucked, guys. We don't have anyone in charge of anything. Even if it's not climate change in the way that people on the left use it to be political and weaponize everything, even if we look at it from the sense that we need to address how we handle different energy and different problems in different environments and use the technology we have, blaming each other doesn't get us anywhere. It just doesn't. Being like, ha ha, you guys deserve this. LA, your skirt's too short. Now you guys are screwed. And the left being like, ha ha, we told you climate change was getting worse. It's mostly people in media. It's also citizens, obviously, and trolls online. We're not going to get outside of this. But long story short, everyone is terrible, including me. I opened this with a homeless joke. I'm not above or below or immune to any of this. Now, in another awkward segue, you have to stick around through the ad to see the weather report, guys. Sorry, those are the rules. Are you experiencing a burning sensation when you pee? I'm sorry. You might have an STD. No one likes to think about STDs, but if you're sexually active, you should be getting a routine STD and STI screening to make sure you and your partner or partners are safe and healthy. Now you can skip the doctor and you can buy your own STD and STI tests online with Quest. QuestHealth.com offers comprehensive STD panels and individual STI screenings with several collection methods. No doctor's visit required, which is amazing, particularly for people on HMOs like yours truly. See, guys, I'm just one of you. I'm a pleb. Your results are delivered online quickly and discreetly. STD testing with Quest keeps the results off your insurance. You have the option to discuss them at no extra cost with an independent physician who may be able to prescribe treatment. Visit questhealth.com today. Use the code FIRE to get 25% off and find answers to the multitude of health questions that you may have. That's questhealth.com and use the code FIRE, Jesus, for 25% off. That's always been the code, guys. Yeah. Now let's check the weather with Bella Osario.
Donde vemos para los amigos del norte ya en Sinaloa 16 grados, cielos parcialmente nublados, Baja California Sur con 21 grados, cielos parcialmente nublados para ellos durante esta mañana. Por otra parte, Baja California, donde las temperaturas...
Thank you, Bella. What's next in the dumpster? I say that because it is a dumpster fire of conspiracies out there. The final reaction that people have, I mean, there's a multitude of reactions people have, but of the three that I mentioned, that one of the reactions is they're burning all the evidence of the tunnels to cover for P. Diddy, which is really hilarious because baby oil does burn for a long time. Regarding the Los Angeles fires, there are several different conspiracy theories. That it's arson. This could very well be true, and there's some evidence to support that arsonists are running around lighting fires, as we mentioned. Some people say it's Iran. Some people say it's Antifa sleeper cells that have been activated. Some say it's eco-terrorism. Some say, like Alex Jones, that this is a globalist land grab. This is why they canceled all the insurance policies and BlackRock is going to come in and buy your property for pennies on the dollar. It's a conspiracy, but it might be proven to be true. My personal favorite is that they're burning the tunnels to cover up the evidence at the Getty. They, being the celebrities, are having the tunnels burned to cover the evidence up at the Getty. When people thought the Getty villa was burning, someone commented, the villa was the drop-off for the ship smuggling people and goods. At least the coastal drop-off is gone. Too bad the museum is okay, but that means there's evidence still, I guess. Tell Maggie in the comments your favorite conspiracy theory that you've heard about the LA fires.
Sammy Flaps and Folds did a whole breakdown of the Getty conspiracy in one of the old dumpster fires.
We were really early to the conspiracy corner.
Oh, and by the way, Sammy is fine for everyone worried.
Sammy is fine for people who are wondering. Sammy Flaps and Folds is fine for now. This is an ongoing story. We did want to cover it. We have a lot of other things we want to cover too, but for this episode, we are just going to focus on the fires and give it the attention it deserves and try and keep it somewhat light. I know it's like a very tragic, it is a true tragedy, and I can't let myself go past here, because if I drop down to here, I will just be a sobbing mess. Praying for everybody out there, and if you do want to donate something, Chef Gruel, who many of you are already familiar with just from being around, he is organizing a lot of donations and getting them to people in Los Angeles who really do need them, not just the rich people holing up in their fancy hotels. They need like baby shoes and baby wipes and diapers. I will put the address in the comments where you can the best thing you can do is probably just Amazon send something to that address that they need. And I will put a link to his Twitter so you can go look and see, because they're always kind of updating what they need there. We love you guys truly just for being here. But if you want to help us on the show, please become a subscriber at Phetasy.com. You get the unedited version of Dumpster Fire, and we leave a lot of inappropriate things on the cutting room floor. You also get access to everything else that we're doing, and it's a lot. You guys, we're just going to be experimenting in the next 90 days about what time to launch us and when, since we've been doing more, and we're trying to do more often that are shorter. So just bear with us. We did move Walk-Ins Welcome off this YouTube channel, so please run over there, subscribe. I have amazing guests that I'm always referencing on this show. If you want something more substantive, great conversations, I learned something from every single guest, please go to our YouTube channel, Walk-Ins Welcome with Bridget Phetasy. There's a link in the description below to make it easy for you. And thank you to everyone who makes Dumpster Fire possible. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to our audience, our subscribers, supporters, and we love you. And thank you to all the people who write and edit, and Maggie. Thank you, Maggie.
Thank you, Bridget.
And now to cleanse your palate, the internet is glorious.
All right, move on. Nothing to see here. Please disperse. Nothing to see here. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone.
Remember, even in the face of tragedy, life is absurd. Don't take yourself so damn seriously. Take the work seriously. Don't take yourself seriously. This has been your Dumpster Fire. I'm Bridget Phetasy. Now make me rich! I'm rich already. Rich in spirit.